So in my reading, I've sort of discovered that building developers and owners seem to be experiencing a high level of uncertainty in regard to their financing, lease renewals, the tax code assumptions regarding capital gains and the 1031 exchanges. And all of that impacts on their business. But how does that transfer through to the uncertainty on the buyer or the lessee of real estate?
I can give you a perfect example. I'm working with a really great client. They're looking to expand up kind of more north of where I'm at. And they are picking brand new buildings that are going to be built. And what's happening is we're putting the proposals together, and the landlords are afraid to make a decision. And I don't blame them, because the cost of just a piece of wood has gone up like 400 to 500% during COVID. Now they're saying it's finally starting to edge down.
Right.
So hopefully now people will be, I hope in the next 3 to 6 months, they'll be more comfortable again. I hope in the next 3 to 6 months, they'll be more comfortable in going out there and starting to build again or start investing, but they're very shy right now.
So it's hard to get your clients a proposal from the landlord.
Correct. It's never happened before. So that's a big change from in my world.
So I guess that makes your job harder in terms of having to identify multiple sites and multiple landlords and so forth to be able to close on something for your.
It depends a lot on what it is. So if it's an office tenant, no problem, because nobody's building anything, but there's lots of beautiful buildings available.
Right.
Right. And before COVID, buying a building in the city, in the Metro Detroit, was very difficult because there was very little available.
Yeah.
And now there are buildings available. So from that perspective, it's pretty good. Retail, there's spaces out there unless you're looking for a new area, which is what my clients were looking for. Industrial has gotten exceedingly more difficult. There's just simply not enough industrial real estate. In the state of Michigan, it's down to 4.4% vacancy, which effectively means zero. In our industry, anything under 5%, usually that means that the buildings that are available are probably not your ideal building.
Mm-hmm.
So they take a lot of research, and like if a building goes up for sale in industrial, you need to catch it the day it goes out, and you probably need to show it within 24 hours and put an offer on. So that's been exciting, difficult, all at the same time, right?
Yeah. So that seems like it's paralleling in behavior the residential markets in much of the country.
Yes, it is. I hadn't really thought about that. You're correct.
Yeah. What are some of the other big trends that are happening in commercial real estate that you think might be out there for the next year or 2 years that potential lessees or buyers might be should be aware of in order to prepare themselves for what the market's going to be like? Do you think, well, I guess the basic question is, do you think the current conditions will stay the same for most of the next year to 18 months in terms of the tightness of the space that you're talking about with regard to manufacturing and plants and equipment? I mean, that whole area.
I don't see an end in sight for that, especially with Amazon taking off in such a major way.
Yeah.
And building these massive facilities, and everybody needs, manufacturing and warehousing. And I mean, they've said during COVID that a lot of the things that were brought in for overseas or just in time are going to be brought over here for manufacturing. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. In the office market, everybody is reporting something different. So we have everything to nobody's going back to work,
Yeah.
to everybody's going back to work, to 50-50.
Right.
So it depends on what they're doing. Like I'm talking with like people in the marketing field, they need each other to drive off of, work together and develop. I don't know. They work a little bit collaborative. That's where.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't, the ones I've talked to said, no, we're going back to the office. I know I'm personally an extrovert, so I'm looking forward to getting back.
Yep.
Detroit literally just opened up July 1st, believe it or not.
Wow.
So I have been sitting in my home for what's it, 16 months, 15 months. So, and the other thing they say is that the young people you would think would be the ones that want to be at home,
Yeah.
they're actually finding that they can't get ahead in the world by working from home. So it's kind of different.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So to a large extent, I guess the decline of retail and the potential decline of of the space for offices and so forth has to work its way through the market, and that's not going to
Right.
be converted into factories, but factories are where the new real estate will spring up over the next couple of years.
Yeah. I used to do 1 or 2 transactions a year in industrial. And as soon as COVID hit, I pivoted because I spent the first 5 years of my life in industrial, doing truck terminals and warehouses, acquiring them and disposing of them. So it was a really easy pivot because I
Yeah.
did it for so long. So, but office, like I said, is coming back because you got to make a decision now. You cannot keep holding. So some decisions, so that means there's going to be work really, because if they're going down smaller size, then you need to get them a new office. If they're going bigger, whatever,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
got to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm interested in is how you stay up to date on the broad trends in the marketplace and what's happening internationally and so forth. And I understand you and I've talked about it. You belong to something called ITRA Global. What
Mhm.
is that all about, and what do you learn by being a member of that?
Well, it stands for International Tenant Representative Alliance.
Mhm.
And I joined that when I started my own company in 2010. So it's been 11 years because I needed to work with people across the United States pretty much. They have offices in most major cities. We used to have more international members, and I think it kind of went away during COVID,
Yeah,
frankly.
sure.
There wasn't any work to do for them. But so I joined it because I can work across the United States. I join it because I have this great collection of the top brokers who own their businesses, and we all share all of our information, which is super great. And if one of us has a problem, we solve it together. I'll give you an example. So I was working with a client. She had a really difficult um, transaction requirement. She needed like 13 acres of land, 20,000 square foot of building. She needed to have outdoor storage. It was very difficult. There's only certain areas that even allow that type, right?
Yeah.
So I was the second broker in. The first broker couldn't find anything. So then I come along. We had found something. It wasn't ideal. It was 2 locations split up like 5 blocks apart. Didn't really work. And then somebody on her staff was driving by this building one day, and they saw a moving truck. She calls me and she goes, "Somebody's moving out of this building." And this is where ITRA helps. So I found out it was easy to find out who owns the building, but it was waste management. And getting a hold of somebody in waste management was almost impossible. I was dialing all these numbers, nothing. Sent an email to all my partners. Of course, the people down in Texas were the ones that gave me the name and the person. I got a hold of him. And literally in 48 hours, we had an offer on that building that was accepted
Wow.
because that's how fast you got to move.
Yeah.
But without my partners, I don't know if I would have reached the person quick enough because they were just getting ready to list it.
Terrific. Terrific. So my final question is, all of us should be doing more of this, and you referenced it earlier on, which is working on our business, not in our business.
Hmm.
And I read a piece that I think you wrote that talked about what you did in 2020 to work on your business, and you worked with an outside group. Tell us about that.
I actually work with 2 groups. So I worked with the Massimo group,
Okay.
which is coaching in our industry because frankly, I'm a little bit older and I wanted to make sure that I was still up to date. So I haven't even gotten through that whole training. It's modules, which has been really great. And what I'm learning is things are just slightly different, not a lot different.
Yeah.
just little things. And then I was also in another program that I love too, Goldman Sachs program, and they put together this program where they provide a 18-week mini master's degree in owning a business is what it is.
Wow.
And it was put together by a university that specializes in that industry, and loved doing that. They were the ones that said, you know, you need to have everything, you need to have all your processes set up, and how are people going to access it? And COVID actually gave me the opportunity to go and do all the things that I learned to do. I don't know if I would have been able to do them. I would have been able to do them, but it'd take me like 3 years. So in 1 year, we went from some written processes to everything, every process, detailed templates, everything. So it was an exciting year to do that stuff.
Well, thanks again for sharing your time with us, and I appreciate your insights into the commercial real estate business. And again, thanks.
Thanks, Marty. I appreciate your time.